Today was my second day of my weekend flying adventures. Yesterday after work, I drove from my workplace to Squamish here in British Columbia, where I do learn to fly, and I had kind of a side road emergency when my one of my brakes start heating up and making some noises on my rear wheel, and I had to get down a few times, stop on the side of the road, get down and use some water I have for emergencies and spray that brake, and there was lots of steam coming out. And I tried to unseize the caliper. I could not, and so I had to keep going because I had the appointment for the flight I had booked, and that was kind of the start of the adventure. So I managed to get there to the airport, and I had 1 hour of flying exercise, which was dealing with in-flight emergencies. And some of the exercise was one of the exercise was practicing engine failures in flight, and I thought, oh, I just had some brakes failure. That was kind of interesting start of the day, but it was interesting. Even the flight was interesting because I've done something like that, but not on the river banks and surrounded by forest. When I compare flying in the mountains with flying in a open field and a flat field, flat terrain, this is totally different story. I've seen a bunch of videos, people practicing the engine failures in flight. And of course, you have a bunch of options. You have this field, that field, that field. And if you get into a bumpy field, that's okay. You might flip over and okay, you wreck your airplane, and you walk out two legs, two arms, and your head on your shoulders. But here, if you end up in the trees, and the trees are probably 100 feet tall, at least, I don't think you can make it. So the only options were the river sandbars, and at one point, of course, when the instructor is turning the engine to idle to simulate the engine failure, you have to go through all the emergency procedures, and you don't have much time. And also, you have to pick the best field where you want to land, and you look and nowhere to land, no highways, no nothing, no golf courses, nothing. And you see, okay, I see that sandbar probably is wide enough and long enough and hard enough to support the airplane. And also, if I'm not touching down his exercise, and I have to make sure I can squeeze out. So the tree that are surrounding these sandbars, because it's not an open field, a tree left and right on both shores of the river, and I have to make sure I can clear those obstacles, those trees, and I may have to do an S turn or something, which I did, and was scary. I can tell you, I've done scarier stuff, but this was scary. It was beyond my comfort zone, comfort level. And today was a similar one. But first we did a cross-country flight. I landed to a remote airport. I came back, and again, engine failure simulated. And I made this decision too late in a flight, and I had to do some weird eights and S's turns, and made it between the trees, and the instructor did not touch the controls at all, and I thought, wow, he trusts my judgment. I'm impressed. So anyway, that's the good nice story for myself. I'm cooling down, and